Alright, we are go. Hey everyone, this is Chaotic Teal, and we're making more Labo today. At this point, what we've got left is the piano. There are these smaller projects that go along with the motorbike and the house. And there's also some just Easter eggs and some of the learn or discover mode we could mess with. But for right now, I'm thinking this is going to be the last Labo stream. I might get back to the other stuff later. We'll see. But yeah, it's Labo time. Now, I'm streaming earlier in the day today because the piano's got a pretty lengthy build time. So I want to make absolutely sure that we've got enough time to take care of it. Yeah, that's several steps. And I'm gonna guess there are a lot of stickers. I mean, there's still this whole sheet of stickers. And this sheet, there are only 4 on this one. There's also everything that's left on this. And like, some of these could be extras. But we got a lot of stickers left for only having one kit. Okay, this. Yeah, this is empty. That can go away. But we're gonna might need the sponge stickers, so make sure that it's stay put. More rubber bands. I really could have kept this stuff better organized. Here we go. Now, I'm not really a particularly musical person. I mean, I like singing, but instruments have never been my strong suit. Though some of that may be that my instrument of choice in middle school was a clarinet, and I have asthma. That's not a good combination. But I've always really liked pianos. I mean, I've got a keyboard right there. And I think some of that is just a piano I can poke at and make something resembling music. Which is not the case for wind instruments. It's certainly not the case for string instruments. I mean, I wouldn't mind learning to play guitar, but no, it's not hard to get melodic sound out of a piano. Now, playing the piano well, that takes a lot more practice. Like I said, I'm not a particularly musical person. But I guess what I'm saying is, the skill ceiling is high, but the skill floor isn't. And that's something that I struggle with when it comes to other instruments. I mean, heck, I don't even know how to get intentional sound out of a violin. Or I guess off of a violin. You don't really... Not a musical person. The point is, I like pianos. And some of that is because a close friend of mine likes pianos. But I've also just... I've always liked toy instruments. Some of that, I think, is because when we used to go to see my dad's family for Thanksgiving, my younger sibling and I were the only ones there who were anywhere close to our age. The next oldest, or everyone else was either an adult or a good 6, 7, 10 years younger than us. So we kind of had to entertain ourselves. Because being kids and eventually teenagers, you know, we're not super interested in playing cards with the adults for very long. So I took advantage of the fact that the place was set up to provide anything for a small child to do, and I played on the 4-note children's piano. I mean, it's similar to trying to play songs on the ocarina in Ocarina of Time, or the various instruments in Majora's Mask, which, if you saw last year's Extra Life, I'm also quite fond of. It's an interesting challenge to try to get coherent music out of such a limited device. And, I think equally as important, it doesn't feel nearly as bad if it doesn't work. Oops. Because, you know, it's just a 4-note children's piano. It's not supposed to sound good. It's supposed to allow a young child to poke buttons and make noise. Which, you know, is why we got my much younger brother a piano when he was even younger. I mean, it was mostly because I wanted to use the piano. Pretty sure. Well, I haven't been present much, just because of timing and age gap, but I have not seen him get nearly as much use out of it as I have. Point is, I really like goofy toy instruments. So, when I saw the Labo announcement initially, the piano was what caught my eye the most. this was the thing that I wanted from this. As you know, even vaguely usable cardboard piano. That's rad. Just realized that I forgot to swap Ethernet cables. I'm not having any frame drops so far, so I'm not gonna mess with it. Best not try to fix what isn't broken, but if I need to, at least I know what to try first. So yeah, all that is to say, this is the part that I wanted. I'm glad to finally be getting around to it. It's only been like 3.5 years? 4 years? I don't remember when these came out. I was an undergrad, but that doesn't narrow it down. Because the Switch came out when I was an undergrad. Also, on the topic of music, which is going to remain a topic for a bit, given the nature of this whole thing, can I just say again that I'm really thankful for the Pokémon Diamond and Pearl Sound Library? I mean, I have royalty-free music, but being able to actually use any music that's even vaguely relevant... I mean, no, this has nothing to do with Pokemon. There we go. But yeah, being able to use even vaguely relevant music in a stream like this, fantastic. I mean, still not super thrilled about the limited time nature of it. But that's just the nature of our present state. As a library science major, I am continually more opinionated about copyright and media access legislation. I understand. I mean, not completely. I'm not a rights holder too much. But I comprehend the importance of the rights to creative works. But I'm easily annoyed where it results in far fewer people having access to things. I just want people to be able to play video games. That's really the long and short of it. Yep, that seems correct. I think this is about the same piece that was used for the chimney for the house. Blah, blah, blah. Which piece is that? It's this one. Okay. Fairly straightforward, that one. I do think it's worth acknowledging that a majority of this, broadly speaking, is fairly intuitive. It's designed in such a way that it intentionally suggests how it should go together. At least on the individual piece level. But by nature, it's time. By nature, I only get one shot at this stuff. I mean, especially considering that it's been several years since all this came out. I checked a few weeks ago, and any of these kits that are still available are ridiculously expensive. The price point wasn't great to start with, but however many years later, it's not better. Okay. I was concerned for a moment that another non-Pokémon Sound Library song had snuck its way onto my playlist. But, yeah, the cost wasn't great to begin with. Again, I understand the amount of engineering that had to go into all this, and the much greater production cost than a standard piece of Switch software. Even a physical release. But the cost wasn't great. And the fact that it's been discontinued naturally didn't improve things. So okay. If I make any mistakes, whether by assumption or just by poor execution, I don't get a second try. I can't replace this stuff. So I want it to at least hold itself together long enough to function. here. Feeling I know what's gonna come next. Yeah. There we go. Building ourselves a nice little box. Someone's home, so it might be loud for a minute. This piece kind of looks like a funky robot head. Just living his life. Feeling I know how this is gonna work. Trying to make sure that my work on these pieces remains at least mostly in frame. I know that I'm not always great at that across this loose series, but I want to make sure that the process of... Oh, interesting. I want to make sure the process of putting this together is preserved. Because I think that... You know, that's the most difficult piece to replicate in any meaningful way. I mean, it's also good to have some record of the function of this stuff. It's tricky. You know, the software and the interaction with hardware side. That's important. But the putting it together is part of the experience. Well, that's part of what makes this so notable. Now it almost feels like a duck. I don't know why. I think that the tabs here just suggest a build to me. Okay, what are we doing with this thing? Yep, that's about what I expected. Insert box into thing. Box, please. Insert into thing. There we go. Box. In the thing. Thing has the box. Box is in the thing. skipping ahead to sheet H. Oh my. Oh, over EFG. H time. I'll get the little pieces out. The big pieces out, he said eloquently. That's fine. Okay, now punch out here. Here, got all sorts of little funky pieces. Get those out carefully. Pop. And boop. That. Now, this one's just got a couple inner shots. These are easier because it's easier to poke a nail through them. Okay. These two tabs up. Okay. I always get a little nervous when there's a song I don't recognize. Okay. Piece in. Tab in. Brilliant. It's a little thing. Could be a hammer power-up in a Mario game. But it's not, it's a lever. Stickers go along the edges here. I'm sure they don't have to be 100% precise, but there's gonna be some precision involved here. Okay. Lever achieved. We can probably set this piece aside for the moment. Let's hold this thing up. Real quick, let's... Okay, yes, those tabs. Ah, I need a rubber band, that makes sense. I'll grab 2 just to be safe. There we go. Interesting. Cool. Okay. That goes... locked in. This piece. Oh, didn't frame drops. Alright. Getting this tab secured. And I can swap Ethernet cable. Okay, we had a blip as it switched networks, but I think we're good now. Hopefully we're good now. This part pretty much just goes as we would expect. Tab go there. This tab stays inside. Here. And fold this together. Like so. Ta-da! A little lever here. Yeah. If we look on the inside, you can see the marker stickers poke out of the top. On the bottom, as they ought to. Cool. What comes next? A sip of water, for one thing. Okay, now we're getting to E and F. I'll set this kind of over here. I'll set it over here. There. Nice and out of the way. Okay. Every piece from E to E, which isn't many pieces. It's like 3-4 big ones. Okay, we don't do anything with that semicircle tab yet. It's one. I think the big pieces are really the most at risk of bending. And just because there's so much surface to them. There's more space that is not fold line, and thus there's more space that can bend that really shouldn't. I do wish Labo had caught on more, but I mean, I think I've talked about in previous Labo streams. I get why it didn't. I mean, it doesn't have much of a market. That's the big issue. It's material-wise, cardboard is very easy for a child to break or otherwise destroy. And when something is easily destructible, you don't want it to be something expensive. Now, granted, they did have replacement sheets available while Labo was still active. And I think they might still have replacement sheets that are substantially cheaper. But the replacement sheets have to be purchased. They have to be special ordered. You can't just like go to a store and get replacement sheets. And you couldn't when they were new. And there was still the initial investment of a full set. So, point is, it would be very difficult to justify getting a Labo kit for a kid. And for the majority of adults, I would imagine that... Okay, there we go. That's where this comes in. The majority of adults, I would imagine that there's just not much value here. I mean, they're neat. But okay. Even in my case, I don't imagine I'm going to get that much use out of this stuff after I get done with the streams. The streams are kind of my way of putting my initial investment to good use. By not just using this for myself, but sharing it. This piece. There are 3 fold lines. See. Pretty sure I'm gonna have this music burned into my brain for eternity. Which is a little funny, because I wasn't even a particularly enterprising trader in the Diamond and Pearl era. I just poked around at the GTS a lot. Anyway, the point is, I completely understand. Okay. I completely understand why this didn't take off. And it really is a shame that so many of Nintendo's more experimental projects have fallen flat. I mean, not totally fallen flat, but they've generally been seen as just a gimmick. I mean, the two big things I can think of with the Switch are Labo and Game Builder Garage. I picked up Game Builder Garage myself right before I moved back here last year. And kind of hoping that I could use that to fuel re-interest in game development. Because with work at that point, I just didn't have the time or the energy to devote to creative stuff. No. But I didn't end up really making use of it. And granted, now I've reached the point of deciding that interesting. Okay. I've reached the point of deciding that game development isn't the career path that I want to pursue necessarily. Now, that definitely doesn't invalidate my prior experience or interest. I mean, I'm working a game development job. Ironically, after assuming that that wasn't where my path was going. So, you know, you never know. But yeah, I haven't really made use of Game Builder Garage. But hey, maybe I'll stream that at some point. As we can tell, I'm extremely good at streaming things long after they're relevant. I mean, again, that's the fortunate thing about streaming as a hobby. I get to do what I want. So just real quick. Nothing major. Just thought it'd be a good time to check. 13 keys to make. But yeah, I might, once things calm down a bit. Right now, it may not seem like it, but things are kind of hectic for a lot of reasons that will be a little clearer soon. But unless I just feel like it, it's probably going to be a little while before I do variety content like this again. And granted, I do need to stay open to the idea that I might just feel like it. But yeah, I have plans. They will be clearer very soon. But there's also plans that I just need to clarify, and stuff that I want to get taken care of before the end of the year. Kind of hitting me that it's freaking November now. I mean, yeah, November 1st, but it's November, and there's stuff I want to make sure I get done so I can wrap it up before the year's out. One that absolutely needs to get done, that I've been thinking about but just haven't had the brain space for, and another that I really wanted to get done months ago, but that didn't happen. So, and again, stuff happens. That is a large part of why I don't want creative work to define my livelihood. And I've talked about that a lot during these Labo streams. I guess the free creativity of building fun little things just calls it to mind. Okay, which type of marker stick do we have? Probably these. Get it right on this again. Looks like we dropped some frames, but we recovered. Okay. One black key. But yeah, with... Oh. Okay. That's not how I anticipated that, right? There. Okay. I'm starting to see how this is going to work. So, obviously, the Joy-Con goes back here. And the camera is going to point through here. So when the key lifts up, that's the worst angle I could try to show that from. Nope, that's not better. The point is, when the key lifts up, the back is going to be visible to that camera with the marker sticker on it. I'm excited to see how the rest of this comes together. I mean, we got 4 more black keys to put together first. Yeah, it's just demonstrating that. But yeah, it's that... It's my susceptibility to creative block that makes me not want to do creative work for a living. I want something that's fulfilling, that I can do to sustain self. But that I don't depend on. There's a point to which pressure and generally constraints can do pretty substantial things for creativity. But it's just as easy for those constraints to cause a shutdown, which just compounds the more you're depending on the fruits of that labor. And that's not where I want to end up. I mean, that's where I felt for a significant portion of the last nearly 3 years since I finished undergrad. I've given a few different presentations and talked to students about my personal creative drive. And to an extent, I think there's merit in recognizing that significant relationship shifts impacted my creative drive. It's easier to feel energized to create when all my needs are met. When I have the support of another person. But to simplify it down to just that is to deny myself the very real growth and independence that I have experienced over the last several years. It's going to be imperfect and complex to really put myself in a place where I have that creative freedom. The energy for that creative expression. I look forward to it. I think I'm making positive steps. That's kind of the point. I am doing things that give me life. And that's necessary. I think it's not a stretch by my belief to say that creation is intertwined with life. Conceptually. Some of that is personal belief. Belief that life was, once upon a time, created. But there's more to it than that. I feel like creation is expression. Creation is additive. So it comes easier when I guess it's really can just be summarized with the same statement that I often express and hear expressed about service. You can't pour from an empty cup. Alright, taking care of a couple of things real quick. Okay, anyway, brain. Doing stuff. Give gifts, give life, fold keys. And by that I mean speed through the key folding process because I have folded all of the keys. And I imagine... yeah. So... I think to me it is easier to create when it is an expression of abundant life and not an expression of necessity. That's the overall summary there. Okay, goes back to PC. This one. And only this one. This, I presume, is... I mean, not exactly a white key. Brown key. Cardboard tone key. Now that I think about it, it's a shame that... Okay, actually, I'm gonna not finish that statement as an assumption. I was going to say, it's a shame that there was a Fantasia world in Kingdom Hearts, and the Keyblade wasn't a piano keys blade. But there's a whole rhythm game. And who knows what shenaniganry that leads to. I've been more than a little hyperfixated on Kingdom Hearts in the last little bit. Mickey Mouse game, make brain go hee-hoo. I've been slowly working through the series since... I mean, really, I first started playing the series in freshman year of undergrad. Oop, I didn't notice there was this piece to pop out. But my PS3 stopped working, and didn't get back around to it. So, I picked up the PS4 collection back in 2020, and I've been gradually working my way through that series since. But I finally finished Kingdom Hearts 3 this past weekend. Late last week. Recently. Within the past week, I finished Kingdom Hearts 3. Okay. Nice and secure. Yep. It's got little teeths. Look at them teeths. Anyway. Okay. Down, then fold, cross. Still, this little antenna. It's like a bizarro computer mouse. Okay. That's not quite what I expected, but cool and good. Okay. Get another one of those little marker stickers out. Underneath the tail. And that's it. Okay. I think putting together something like this, it's kind of similar to the process of putting together the Lego chess set that I have, where it's super cool, and it's particularly super cool as a finished project. It does involve a whole lot of putting together the same general things. Okay. These do have slightly different... Oh, that makes... Yeah, duh. The white keys couldn't all look the same, because white keys on a piano don't all look the same. Remember when I said I'm not really a music person? Anyway. Here's Wonderwall. Okay. But yeah, putting together things like this, it does get repetitive. You're putting together, effectively, a bajillion of very similar things. Bajillion being the technical descriptor, that is a scientific term. I am a student in a Masters of Science program. You can trust my statements on scientific terminology. Note that this is an outright fabrication. And I don't actually know what I'm talking about. It's particularly important to get these pieces that have a notch in them folded correctly. Because otherwise, like if you push, you can kind of see, I don't know if it's going to show up on the camera. A little bit. I mean, it's not in focus, because that's not the focal length of this camera. But you can kind of see where pushing down here puts pressure on this line here. So it's important to make sure that those get folded correctly, because you have problems if they don't. Okay, I think, yeah, all my T's are crossed and my I's are dotted. What I didn't think of when I was starting this little process this early is that the sun was gonna set while I was still going. I should probably move over and turn on my lamps. We have the lava lamp, which is going strong. You can't really tell with it in the background like it is, but once again, fold that up. And Sorry, trying to continue sorting out changing plans for later this week. Get some lights on. Ah. Okay. Gotta try not to cross my legs more. Just do that. I have to deal with my legs because sometimes you gotta do a big stretchy. And then sometimes big stretchy causes small to big pain because the passage of time is rapidly catching up to you. Okay, yes, yeah, this does go right in the middle there. As much as I like this song, it does kind of inspire feelings of anger. This is... yeah, that's... Hazelf, Mesprit, and Yuxi's theme, which is also Yuxi, whatever. It's also used for Cresselia in the Sinnoh games. I don't remember if it's used for Zapdos, Moltres, Articuno in Platinum. But I know that it's used for the Lake Spirits and Cresselia. And Gen 4 just had a lot of legendaries. And I want to say, naturally, most of the games have had their trio. Red and blue are kind of the exception, simply because the box of legendaries hadn't been codified yet. But you know, Red and Blue had 4 legendaries available. Mew was the only mythical in that generation. And naturally, as a mythical Pokemon, he was not ordinarily accessible, which I have opinions about. But I am generally willing to give the benefit of the doubt, only because they have been since Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, they have been making mythical Pokemon available in mainline games without events. I mean, it's particularly unfortunate that my favorite Pokemon is a mythical. I love Shaman so much, but anyway, the point is that Gen 1 had 4 legendaries, 1 mythical. Gen 2 had 5 legendaries and 1 mythical. With Lugia and Ho-Oh as the first box legendaries, and Raikou, Entei, and Suicune as the first roaming legendaries. And still had 1 mythical in the form of Celebi, which is another one of my favorite Pokemon. And actually, Celebi is one that they're going to have to make available in a newer event, because with the 3DS and Wii U eShop going down, the current way to get Celebi guaranteed in the Virtual Console version of Crystal is also going down, which is an issue. Well, and Deoxys is kind of the same way. Once the 3DS shop closes down, Once the 3DS shop closes down, it won't be possible to get Pokemon Bank anymore if you don't already have it downloaded. Which means that it will not be possible to transfer Pokemon from any generation before 8 forward anymore. Which, in a sense, could be good for the series. I mean, not completely. Both because people like myself have already transferred a metric boatload of Pokemon from the 3DS to the Switch. Despite not being able to use them in any Switch Pokemon game yet. But it's fine. There was always going to come a point when not every Pokemon could be in every game. It's unfortunate that it happened when it did. But that was always going to be the case at some point. The thing is, And they're kind of already doing this with the limited roster per game. But a general disconnect from previous entries is the closest thing that I think Pokemon's ever going to have to a reboot. I mean, it kind of already happened between generations 2 and 3. Because, I mean, aside from... Actually, I'm going to look this up, because this is someone who deserves attention. Oop, did we get disconnected? OBS looks like it's fine, so we might have blipped for a little bit, but OBS says it's fine. YouTube's just slow on the uptake. Anyway, I'm gonna look this up real quick. Peace, I guess. Okay, this channel. Gaupierre. Or Gaupierre. I don't know how exactly to pronounce the name of the channel, but this person's been working for a long while on getting a Gen 2 to Gen 3 trade system going. And they've made several videos on it, and it's super fascinating. I'll try to remember to put a link in the description as well. Definitely check those out if you want to see how all that works and why it's such a complex thing. I mean, I don't think that there's ever going to be a 100% reboot, refresh, whatever for Pokemon. I think that they have thoroughly backed themselves into a corner of always having some form of connectivity with older games, and thus always needing to make Pokemon transferable. I mean, I and many other longtime fans of the series would be upset if that were no longer the case. I mean, heck, I've only just finally resolved my living decks. Oh, hello. So, I think there will always be that connectivity. Granted, Pokemon Bank has the ability to transfer those Virtual Console Pokemon from Generations 1 and 2 forward to the data architecture of Generation 6. Generation 6 and 7. I am going to be so good at making cardboard piano keys. I've not even been paying attention to the directions for the last little while. But yeah, they're always going to need that connectivity, or they are going to lose people. I mean, they've been losing people for a while, frankly. And not without reason. I still love Pokemon, and when it comes to that kind of thing, I prefer to reserve my energy for, if I'm going to be frustrated about stuff, I prefer to reserve that to stuff that's more important. Games are absolutely important to me, and I believe that they should be made well, they should be made with care, and I believe that if that is not the case, people have a right to make their voices known. I also believe that in the grand scheme of things, there's a lot that's more important than whether this year's Pokemon game is good. So, I am generally disinclined towards that level of vitriol. I'm more inclined to see what is present than agonize over what is not. Pokemon games absolutely could be better. There's more they could do. And more than I would love to see them do. And I really liked Sword. I had more mixed feelings about Brilliant Diamond. But between save data bonuses and events, every Pokemon from the first 4 generations is available. Except for Deoxys. I'm fairly certain. Because even if you missed the events for Shaman and Darkrai in Brilliant Diamond and Manaphy, all of them are available either just natively in-game or with save data bonuses. And I do have mixed feelings about requiring other games. but I find that to be a marked improvement over requiring your awareness and access to an arbitrary event that doesn't have anything to do with anything in game. That, you know, sucks to suck if you missed it. Or if they just didn't execute the event as they said they would. I mean, there's currently a Marshadow event going on, and I had to get a friend of mine in Chicago to get a code for me, because they just didn't have any at the target here. I've got options, other people don't, and that's annoying. Never forget our solemn duty to apply a sticker. So, like I said, save data bonuses yes, there's the argument to be made that they require you to spend more money. I also recognize that this might not be available in all territories, but I'm more inclined to say, get a game from GameFly, or another rental service like that. I mean, multiple times at this point, I have used GameFly, used a free trial of GameFly with a different email address to get a game delivered to me so I could play it long enough to establish a save file and then send it back and cancel my trial. It cost me nothing but time. And that's how I got the Wing remix of Dearly Beloved in Smash Brothers. That's how I got Chonkachu in Pokemon Sword before they made Chonkachu and Dynamax Soup available. And the most significant aspect of that is that's a consistent way to do it. 30 years from now, it will be possible to get a copy of Brilliant Diamond and a copy of Let's Go Pikachu and start a save file on Let's Go Pikachu and get a Jirachi in Brilliant Diamond. Whether that will be useful in 30 years is another matter entirely, but it will be possible. And the same can't be said for those events. I mean, yeah, for the DS games, fans have created servers for hosting the events from those games. But again, once Pokemon Bank goes down, that's not going to be an option anymore. Or once Pokemon Bank's no longer accessible, and I'm sure that once it's no longer accessible, it's only a matter of time before it goes down completely. Hopefully, that won't happen with Pokemon Home. Because Pokemon Home is less hardware dependent. I mean, you currently need a Switch to transfer anything from Pokemon Bank. But I don't see that being the case for whatever the next console generation is. Because Pokemon Home's a phone app. It's got smartphone integration already. So that is already a system-independent way to store Pokemon. Basically, I'm saying they don't have any justification for moving to a different service after Pokemon Home. Or after the Switch lifespan ends. Which, who knows when that's going to happen, frankly. I mean, one hand, the Switch has always been behind its contemporaries, hardware power-wise. On the other, Nintendo stopped prioritizing the cutting edge a long time ago. And the Switch is hands down their best-selling system in years. So I see. So expecting people to transition over to a new system the point is, I think that they're going to want to profit from the Switch lifespan for as long as they can. And if memory serves, that reflects what they've said about their business intentions. That the lifespan of the Switch is likely to be longer than other consoles. than their other consoles. No, I could be wrong. And frankly, the Switch is rapidly approaching 6 years. Which, that's up there for a game console. My top of head knowledge for game consoles, release date wise, pretty much starts and ends with Nintendo stuff since the GameCube. I want to say the GameCube came out in like 2001, 2002. And the Wii came out in 2006. Game Boy Advance came out right around when the GameCube did. So the GameCube had somewhere in the 5 to 6 year range. I didn't crease my fold lines properly on that one, and I am suffering for it. Always crease your fold lines, kids. Anyway, the GameCube had somewhere in the 4 to 6 year range. Game Boy Advance was similar, I think slightly shorter, because the DS came out in 2005. The 3DS came out in 2011, so that gave the DS 6 years. And the Wii U came out in 2012. For the last 20 years, well, the Wii U came out in 2012, the 3DS came out in 2011, and the Switch came out in 2017, which kind of gave both the 3DS and the Wii U a 5 to 6 year lifespan. Yeah, let's actually open this one up and double check the... Okay. We do have all the little marker stickers in a row. Go and go. And by go, I mean not go anywhere, because it wasn't. But the 3DS, I want to say that it technically got its last games in 2018? Early 2019? So, it sort of had life in it until, well, for about 8 years. 7 or 8. But nobody was arguing that the 3DS was anyone's focus at the Switch. The Wii U stopped being people's focus long before that. So, the point of all that rambling, and I'm pausing here because I'm going to have to go use the restroom real quick. The point of all that rambling is we're getting close to what would be the end of a console life cycle, based solely on precedent. But I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case for the Switch. I'm going to keep rambling for a while, because we've still got more piano to put together. But, like I said, I need to use the restroom, so I'm going to hide that camera, and be right back. Okay, back we are. Looks like someone stopped in while I was away. That's unfortunate. Okay. The Pokemon-related tangent that I didn't actually finish because I ran down all sorts of other tangents was there were 4 legendaries in Gen 1, 5 in Gen 2, Gen 3 definitely started ramping things up. Gen 3 had 2 mythical Pokemon, Deoxys and Jirachi, as well as Groudon, Kyogre, and Rayquaza, the Box Legendary Trio, which was the first time the Box Legendaries actually were a trio. Latias and Latios. That feels wrong to say it in that order. Plus Regirock, Regice, and Registeel. And I think that's all of them. But 2 trios and another pair to boot nearly doubles the amount of legendary Pokemon in, well, from Gen 3, or Gen 2 to Gen 3. I guess thinking about it that way, Gen 4 doesn't have drastically more than Gen 3. Because there's, once again, two trios. The Box Legendaries, Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina, and the Lake Guardians, Azelf, Mesprit, and Uxie, who threw me down this train of thought. There's the duo of, well, Gen 4 is just weird to classify. There's Dialga, Palkia, Giratina. There's Azelf, Uxie, Mesprit. This is what happens when I start trying to get stuff downloaded on the Wii U. Wow. Great. It'll be fine. I'll upload the recording of this one. But that puts the same amount of legendary Pokemon in the base game of Gen 4. So I guess it's really just the Mythicals where Gen 4 kind of went crazy. Because where Gen 2, well, Gens 1 and 2 each had a single mythical Pokemon. Gen 3 had 2 of them. Gen 4 had Darkrai, Shaman, Manaphy, Arceus, and by association with Manaphy, Fion. So Gen 4 doubled the number of mythical Pokemon. And made those mythical Pokemon more central to the existing legends. Because Cresselia is diametrically opposed to Darkrai. And Arceus kind of stands at the head of the Dialga, Palkia, Giratina trio. So I think Darkrai in particular the standing lore for Cresselia feels incomplete without it. I was going to say, I feel like the Dialga, Palkia, Giratina lore is at least complete without. But I think some of that is just because Arceus' event got the shaft on the DS. It took until Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl for them to finally make the Azure Flute available. So, Arceus was kind of disconnected from stuff outside of the one event in Heart Gold and Soul Silver that I was always bitter that I didn't get because my Toys R Us didn't have it. It's fine. I'm fine. It's a really cool event that I was super interested in. But it's fine. Here we go. Look at that. play pause. But I think... Okay, part of why I don't mind the Gen 4 Mythicals as much is because I am immensely biased in favor of Gen 4 in general, and particularly the Mythicals, because Shaman is my favorite Pokemon. And yes, I do still hold that to be true, despite how much I love Rowlet and its line. Shaman's been my favorite for a very long time. Okay, so these are kind of structural support, and I would guess they're gonna help support the buttons that go in. But the thing they stopped doing after the DS games was really making mythical Pokemon events. In Gen 4, well, even Gen 3 had the Deoxys event. I never experienced that one personally, because I didn't... My first Pokemon game that I had when it was relevant was Diamond. But the Deoxys event was still fairly well integrated. And in Gen 4, both Shaman and especially Darkrai. Oh no. A clown. How could I be so easily defeated? Shaman has a whole event with Professor Oak talking about or sending you a letter that you receive as the event item, and then talking about Shaman. This should be fun. And Darkrai has a whole sequence where you can see the effect that it's having on this kid. And how its quest parallels Celia's. It's so cool. And I mean, Arceus has an in-depth event as well. It just didn't get used in the DS games because they didn't think that people could figure it out, which I don't think that was giving people enough faith, but the average kid, maybe not. Even Gen 5 had a whole event surrounding Keldeo and the other Swords of Justice, the other Musketeer Pokemon. Genesect was explicitly a creation of Team Plasma. I don't really remember where Meloetta fit in. But I know that Victini also had a small side quest. Yep, I'd say those work. But then Gen 6 the mythical Pokemon in Gen 6. I want to say it was just Koopa, Deontay, and Volcanion. But none of them have any story presence. I mean, the closest we get is, I think, Deontay's Pokedex entry that specifically says that it's essentially a mutated Carbink. But they're just... That was when the mythical Pokemon started just being handed to you. Which makes them feel a heck of a lot less significant and meaningful. I mean, heck, I don't even remember anything about Volcanion. I know that... Well, that's the other piece. It was around that time that they started really giving mythical Pokemon unique type combinations. Not every mythical at that point has them. But not every mythical Pokemon has a unique type combo, but Volcanion is the only fire and water type Pokemon. I want to say Hoopa might be or might have been the only psychic ghost type. Deontay doesn't have a unique type combo. Deontay doesn't have a unique type combo. In Gen 7, Magyarna doesn't have a unique type combo. I'm also less upset about Magyarna because there's just a QR code for that one. So even if it is a completely inconsequential Pokemon as a mythical, at least it's available. I mean, that does lend itself to further questions of why. Magyarna doesn't even have a unique type combo. It's Steel Fairy. I mean, it does look neat. And I recognize that it has a design that would not necessarily have fit with the rest of that generation. But, and a particular form of Magyarna is the reward for getting the entire national dex in Pokemon Home. Though interestingly, that includes mythical Pokemon pre-Gen 8, but not mythical Pokemon in Gen 8. Because I got that last night when I got Marshadow, but before Zarude. Okay. 6 little bitty stickers on the notches here. So, Magyar is kind of whatever. Again, not a bad Pokemon design, just, again, lacks significance. And Zeraora, Marshadow, and especially Zarude, though that's mostly just because I'm angry about Zarude perpetually. None of them feel like they fit. And maybe that's actually part of the issue. Like I was talking about, the mythical Pokemon in the first 5 generations felt like they had a place within their generation. Mew was the mythical Pokemon that Mewtwo was cloned from. Mew's actually got a pretty substantial amount of in-game material for a Pokemon that doesn't have an in-game event. Celebi is specifically the protector of the Ilex Forest in Johto. It has a shrine in the main game, but it makes sense that you wouldn't expect to encounter it. It's essentially a folktale. Or perhaps a folktale is not the right way to put it, but it's a guardian deity of this forest. That's why there's a shrine there. So again, it makes sense that it is mythical, that it's not normally available. Deoxys is an alien. Just flat out. It's an unidentified creature that came from space. Again, I am less familiar with its event in Generation 3 proper. But between the movie and the Delta episode in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, it also clearly has a connection to the region. And even without that, the Hoenn region specifically has a space center. Oh right, I forgot about Regigigas in Gen 4. So it does have a few more non-mythical legendary. But Deoxys has that narrative role, that role that fits it within the Hoenn region. Jirachi is slightly more tenuous, but still fits. It makes sense that a 1,000-year fairy, because if Celebi and Jirachi were created now, they would not be psychic type, they would be fairy type. There is no question about that. But okay, yeah, I will concede that I have a harder time directly tying Jirachi to Hoenn. But Gen 4, all of the mythicals tie in to the Sinnoh region. Manaphy is probably the one with the least connection, but even it still has purpose. And again, thematically, it fits with the rest of the Sinnoh region. Same goes for the Gen 5 mythicals. I could easily see Victini as the V for Victory Pokemon. Being very much designed to fit in with the American-inspired cultural identity of Gen 5. Genesect was explicitly created by Team Plasma, and Meloetta's a Broadway actress. That absolutely fits thematically. It's Gen 6 where they started becoming more disconnected. Diancie still fits. Diancie is clearly a not only a particular offshoot of Carbink, another Pokemon that originated in the Kalos region, but it clearly has design similarities with Diantha, a major character in those games, who absolutely would have used one if that were allowed. I adamantly believe that. But I don't know what connection Volcanion or Hoopa have to the Kalos region. I don't know what connection Marshadows, Aurora, or Magyarna have to Alola. I mean, I can see Marshadow more, but even that one, I don't know. And Zarude just doesn't make sense to me. Even putting aside my frustration with the way they executed those events, because, for context, Zarude was distributed 2 times in, like, 2019 and... Actually, it might have been... I think it was in 2020 and 2021. And both times it was just the Pokemon Trainer Club newsletter will include a code for you to get your event. Zarude. But I was not the only one who was signed up for email newsletters and didn't get their code. Either time. And that just meant missing out on the chance to get this Pokemon that is completely disconnected and frankly redundant in the Galar region. Zarude is a grass dark type, yes, but a simian-themed grass type that is elevated to the status of mythical Pokemon in a region where the grass starter is a monkey. I know that it's supposed to be like a jungle guardian or whatever, but there's not a jungle in Galar. There's not a jungle even in the DLC areas in Galar. I mean, the best you've got is the forest on the Isle of Armor. But that's not a jungle. I mean, again, it's mythical Pokemon don't have to have unique types. They don't have to be completely and utterly distinct from, or disconnected and off to the side compared to the other Pokemon in a region. Darkrai and Arceus are both a significant part of their respective connections. Diancie is explicitly a Carbink, and I've said that exact statement so many times. No, they don't. It's not that there can't be overlap. It's that the overlap should be meaningful if the Pokemon's going to be meaningful. We just have two grass-type simian Pokemon in the same region that are completely disconnected, and one of them is magically more special than the other one. And its events were botched to boot. Clearly, I can go on for a while about being frustrated with mythical Pokemon. My point is, or the bright side, is that, and I also acknowledge there was an event last October, I think, to get a Zarude in Pokemon Go. That was also limited time, but at least it was log in anytime during this brief window, and you can get the Zarude quest that you can finish anytime. Not effectively broadcast to anyone who didn't play Pokemon Go actively at the time. I say, as someone who didn't play Pokemon Go actively at the time, and found out about it days after the event stopped being available. But that's also better. Not perfect. It's still a time-limited window for a completely arbitrary Pokemon, but better. The bright side is, again, almost every Pokemon game since Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire have made at least one mythical Pokemon just generally available. There weren't any in Alola, but Deoxys was available in Oras. Celebi is available in the Virtual Console release of Crystal. Sword and Shield DLC makes Keldeo available. And again, that's still DLC, and that's going to be limited to that DLC being available, but it's better. Anyone who has that DLC can get Keldeo. And then the Sinnoh games really just went nuts. But they kind of had to, because of the number of Gen 4 mythical Pokemon. Because I want to say it's... if you have save data for... if you have save data for Let's Go Pikachu or Let's Go Eevee on your Switch, which, again, you can rent them. That's an option. You can get Mew in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. And likewise, if you have data for Sword or Shield on your Switch, you can get Jirachi. Are those exciting? No. They sure aren't. It's just two random old people in Floroma Town that give you friggin' Mew and Jirachi. But at least they're accessible. If you have any way to get save data for the other Switch Pokemon games. And in Legends Arceus, if you have save data for... I want to say it's... if you have save data for Sword and Shield, you can get Shaman in a quest line. If you have save data for Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, you can get Darkrai in its own quest. And Manaphy and Fione are just available. I mean, you need some outside research, but that's done in a way that's really interesting, and I like it a lot. That actually does tie Manaphy in a little bit better with the lore of Sinnoh. And, I mean, the game's called Legends Arceus. I would hope that you can get Arceus in it. Even looking aside of that, though, if you have completed save data for Legends Arceus, which is itself a little silly, because by completed save data, they mean really completed save data. You have to have caught Arceus in Legends. But if you have, you can finally get the friggin' Azure Flute in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. One way or another, every single mythical Pokemon from generations 1 through 4 and Keldeo is available in a way that's not dependent on an event. I would still prefer just in-game events, in-game scenarios for obtaining these Pokemon. But making them not available on, or no longer restricted to a timed event, is an improvement. Perfect? No. Better? Yes. I mean, keep the edge bits on the sticker sheet. My hope is that they will continue to push forward on making mythical Pokemon more accessible, and slow down on making more mythical Pokemon. Uncreased fold lines cannot stand. Because we established Gen 4 had effectively 4.5 mythical Pokemon. Fion counts, but you only get Fion from breeding Manaphy. So, if you have Manaphy, you can get Fion. Granted, the reverse is not true. Fion does not evolve into Manaphy, and this confused me immensely as a child. But Pokemon be Pokemon. Gen 5 had Kelio, Meloetta, and Genesect. And really, Gens 5, 6, and 7 each had 3. I think. Unless I'm just forgetting them, but again, that says something. So we don't actually need the left controller. As usual, I do have to disconnect the switch for this piece. That's the switch chugging. Okay, that's fair. I didn't actually clarify what I meant when I said it's piano time. And then, you know, pianoed all over the place. Which go there. Wicon go there. Okay. Anyway, to wrap up the Pokemon rant, Gen 4 went crazy with the Mythicals, but every generation since 5 has only had 3, and Gen 8 only had 1. I see this as an absolute win. Okay, I'm going to stop our background music and turn up. It seems like that's audible. Probably more than. I don't know that I can play more of that song without getting content ID'd. Ah. No! I can play the saddest Megalovania, but I don't have quite the right number of keys. Okay. You can adjust the pitch. Where's the lever? Anyway, let's see what the knobs do. Well, that's awful. Okay, so rotating that knob turns up the echo. What's rotating it this way do? I think that also pitch shifts it a little bit. Okay, we're done with the cat. What's knob 2 do? I have failed. It doesn't quite have the range to easily play the songs that I want to play. But it can do chords, and that's awesome. Because most toy pianos can't. What does knob 3 do? Well, now I feel bad. I don't know why that one coughs. I'm not sure I like that. It's... Now that's interesting. Let me see if it works a little better if I hold it close to the mic. Okay, that's fascinating. Okay. Well, this is clearly too much power. I think we've caused enough problems for today. Though I am curious. Okay, that's not what I expected that to do. What if... Okay. So that makes it almost choral. Fascinating. What happens to the sad dudes? Yeah, that doesn't make it better. What if we use this one and that? Okay, so that makes it a little bit more reverberating. Interesting. I'm sure there are secrets of the piano that I have not yet uncovered, but we've been going for over 3 hours. We've put together a piano, and I need to eat food. Thank you for listening to my rants for 3 hours. Stream schedule for the rest of this week. Depending on how I'm doing with homework, I may stream tomorrow morning. Depending on my siblings' availability, we may stream Freddy Security Breach either tomorrow evening or Friday evening. Saturday, there will not be a stream, at least not at the normal time, because I have another thing going on at exactly that same time slot. So, that's a thing. So, something maybe tomorrow morning. Security Breach, maybe tomorrow or Friday. And we'll see past that. I know that's a lot of uncertainty. You may or may not have seen that I now have YouTube community posts, which is neat, and I have no idea why I have it, but since I do, I'm going to try to make posts a little while in advance when I'm going to stream. So keep an eye on the community tab for those, if there are any deviations from the usual Tuesday evening, Saturday morning schedule. And yeah. Thank you very much for watching. and I hope you have a great rest of your night. Later, everyone.